The year was 1995 in Bellevue, Nebraska, and on a park in downtown Bellevue, Nebraska was a basketball court with a soon-to-be legendary basketball player named Tom Horton. Tom was a center for the Bellevue High School basketball team called the Bellevue Badgers, and even though he was phenomenal, the team was not. They have never saw the playoffs in their school history, but ever since Tom has stepped up to the court, he has dominated and has taken their team to the playoffs for the very first time. It wasn't all so good for Tom, because you see, his dad, Davis Horton, was a hard worker and had tons of dedication, and he definitely influenced that on Tom. But he had suffered scoliosis, which made him quit his job, which would unfortunately not be able to help his family with his wife Lori Horton and, of course, Tom. But Tom wanted to change that, because you see, if he thought he could make it to the pros in the NBA, then he could help his family out and give them the support that they need. It wasn't going to be easy because he had never got offered by a D1 college for college basketball. Tom was basically a nobody because no one knew the talent that he had. But during this playoff run, he was about to show his true talent. Their first game would be against the Springdale Renegades, and their top player was Clarence Flynn. He was a speedster and he had the hops. But Tom could easily tell that this team lacked awareness, and he was able to easily get layups, and not only that, he banked nasty three-pointers. This would be his best playoff game by far, and after a great 24-point game, he would send his team to the semifinals. In the semifinals, they would face the Pabna Night Owls, and their star player was Brandon Bell. He was the tallest on the court and had the most agility. Tom didn't start off too hot, as he only got a few layups to start the game, but during the second half, that's when he would start banking his threes. But it was a tight game, because when the Badgers would score, the Night Owls would score right back. The Night Owls were definitely one of the biggest opponents for the Badgers that season. But in the fourth quarter, Tom's teammate Atkins would score 3, and then Tom's other teammate Kent would get a slam dunk in the fourth quarter to extend the lead and win. Which means for the first time in school history, the Bellevue Badgers would be moving on to the state championship. The Badgers would be facing off against the Arlington Dragons, and believe it or not, Tom actually has history with one of the players for the Dragons, and that was Mike Grigsby. You see, Grigsby actually did attend Bellevue High School, but him and Tom Horton did not have a good rap against each other. In fact, Grigsby got expelled for fighting with Tom, so now he attends Arlington High School. So this would be Tom's chance to get revenge. Tom was so nervous at the start of the game that he was missing easy shots that should have been made. Of course, it's the state championship, but he should not be missing these easy shots. Tom was furious that they were losing by a lot, that he let all of his anger out on Mike Grigsby, which would result in him getting benched for the entire third quarter, which would mean the Badgers would be trailing by a lot. But when Tom was back, he started getting back into his groove and was making shots. But Arlington kept fighting back and kept their lead. Even though Tom scored a ton of points in the fourth quarter, they were still down by 2. And with only just a few seconds left on the clock, Tom was in position to take a half-court shot for the win. And Tom swished it. The Bellevue Badgers were state champions. Now, after all this success, Tom would have to get offered by D1 college, right? Well, no. After his incredible playoff performance, he didn't get offered by a single D1 college. And then he was starting to think to himself, maybe basketball just isn't the way to get out of his trouble. But it wasn't over yet. Back at Tom's house after the state championship, him and his dad were sitting at the dinner table talking about what Tom's future could be. But before Tom could even take a bite of his food, the phone rang in the living room. Tom went in the living room to answer the phone, but what he didn't know is that this phone call would change his life. It was the head coach for the Michigan State Spartans basketball team. He was the only one willing to give Tom a chance, and he was handing him out a full-time scholarship. Tom immediately said yes and told his family the good news. And before he knew it, he was on a flight to Michigan, and he was a step closer to helping his family out. And his basketball journey was just beginning.